I'm going to open the Village of Davis Junction Committee of Committee meetings for Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. It is 1900 hours. Sandy, please take roll call.
Yep, I have committee members Chris Samples,
Here.
John Talbot,
Here.
Nathan Moss,
Here.
Jen Christensen,
Here.
Bill Motisi is absent. And then I have President Pro Tem and committee member William Luxinger.
Here.
President Rick Worm is absent. Treasurer Brenda Onabini.
Here.
I clerk Sandy Mazen here. Public Works Supervisor Brett Fergie.
Here.
And Village Engineer Matt Hanson.
Here.
On the 28th.
All right, moving on, we have the approval of the February 1st, 2022 Committee of Committee meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve February 1st, 2022 Committee of Committee minutes.
Second. Jen made a motion to approve the February 1st, 2022 Committee of Committee meeting minutes. John seconded. Is there any discussion? Before we do that, please note Mr. Motisi has arrived at 7:01. If you could call him in, please.
Bill,
Yes,
Bill, you have any discussion on the meeting minutes from February 1st?
no, they're fine.
Thank you. Sandy, take the roll.
Jen,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes,
John,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
William.
Yes.
You can pause for 1 second. My microphone system's still not working normally. All right, go.
All right, moving on. Do you know if there's anything from Rick from
There is
President?
not.
Sandy, anything for you?
Nope.
Moving on to the Treasurer's Human Resources, we have two draft resolutions that were discussed last week,
Yes. Well,
week before.
Yeah.
the contents of them were discussed last week.
The resolution for setting the compensation for the village clerks. Anybody have any discussion on that?
yes, please.
Mr. Motisi?
I know we've already voted on this stuff for it to be approved, correct? Okay. I did have a question. How many, outside meetings, Sandy, really let you hear?
None.
None?
I have no outside meetings.
So if you do attend them, you don't get paid or what?
It's part of my salary.
Thank you. Again, I couldn't understand for a second what was going on, so I want to make sure that compensation is there. And one more question here.
William, can I say something?
Give me 1 second, Glenn. I think Bill's still thinking about something.
Okay, thank you.
Here we go. On the treasurer, do we have the, how many outside meetings can she attend?
None.
None?
It will be the same compensation package as myself.
You
She
can
can
attend
attend.
them,
Oh, yeah,
but they
she
don't
can-
get paid.
yeah.
There's no
She
compensation.
can go to them. She just doesn't receive separate compensation.
Yeah, the
Thank
thing
you
that
for
was
call.
confusing was that, let's see if I can remember. Oh, it's not money, it's compensatory time.
Yes. Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Sure, so in other words, both of you will get compensatory time.
So currently, for these meetings, I get what's called flex or compensatory time for these meetings, because these are outside of my 40 hours. And so I can either work less someday this week, or I can wait till next week and work a little less next week. It just ends up as flex time.
They add up over time and it ends up being a day off or,
Yeah.
you know.
I understand what the flex time and comp time is. Instead of getting money, you get paid.
Yes.
time.
Yep.
And now, how many would you attend, you know?
It's based upon what we're doing. So if I'm at a seminar, I might have more. If we don't have a meeting if we don't have a meeting that week, I might end up with none. It really just depends upon the schedule.
You know what?
You're pretty
I have no
similar.
problem.
It's part of your daily,
Unless
unless it's at night kind of thing.
it's
Yeah,
nighttime.
seminars are outside of Mondays,
Well,
right
I just
before,
meant
whatever.
Yeah.
well, you were attending, whatever
Uh,
those things
so
were, that's
The
just part of your
clerks don't
job.
mess around. Our seminars go from about 7 AM to 9 PM. We don't mess around.
Glenda?
I want to make sure that Mr. Motisi understands that Sandy and Brenda both have worked very hard to get grants and scholarships to cover a lot of things so that the village did not have to pay. So there are an added asset to the village.
I think his question was just, you want to make sure they were fairly compensated.
Right, correct.
Yeah, I don't think he was concerned about,
I wasn't concerned about anything else, and I know about all that.
but good point.
For all of us, we all have to do what we have to do, you know, for our job.
Anybody object to putting on a consent agenda?
Yeah, I do.
Can I put mine on the
Yeah,
consent
that's
agenda?
not a
Thank you.
problem.
Okay,
So the clerk will be on the consent, treasurer will be voted for.
yes,
Got it.
Not that I'll be voting.
that's why I asked if I could just put mine on.
Any other discussion on the resolutions? Hearing none, moving on to the village engineer, Matt.
Just 3 projects, probably the biggest one, microservicing. Dale's gonna have the bid documents ready for, by next week to sit down with Chris and Brett to review, and then, we'll get those submitted in for, IDOT approval. I think Dale said, gentleman that does those, he thinks he'll probably get them reviewed in a week, 2 weeks tops and stuff. And then
IDOT?
Yeah. For these, it's pretty straightforward. Salt shed, just, got that on hold until you're evaluating locations. And then, I gave Chris and Brett to look at, the sidewalk in front of the fire station. We did a quick topo there so we could see what the slopes were and everything, and we determined how far we need to go back up the, approaches at the, don't need to go up too far, but a little ways up the approach to the fire station to get the sidewalk in there ADA compliance on the cross slopes.
Any questions for Matt? Now we'll move on to the committee reports. Community development and events, Jim.
I am just starting to work on the Easter egg hunt, that's April 9th. I have the blood drive, May 31st. Garage sales are gonna be June 9th, 10th, and 11th. And the electronic recycling is gonna be June 12th. And I believe the garbage, all pickup is gonna be on the Wednesday after that, which would be 15th,
Of June.
June.
She's busy over there.
I'm kidding. It's all
That's all I have.
okay. Finance, myself. We met with the initial draft budget meeting a week and a half ago. Fairly close. I don't believe the goal is to tweak it a little more and kind of wait till the very end of this fiscal year before we'll be presenting the budget. We'll present it, but we won't pass it until May. All right, May.
Yeah.
But we'll give you guys a peek and we'll present it earlier before that, but we want to wait and see exactly where we end this year before we finalize next year. Just to get an exact dollar amount of what's left and what was spent for this year.
I have a question for you.
Yep.
How are you holding over, carrying over what we approved for the park for this fiscal year? Because
We're
clearly
gonna have
that's
to.
going to be spent.
There was I want to 400,000 coming to mind. Is that right?
Yes.
400,000 of what was budgeted this year for the park project that wasn't
Yes.
implemented is going to do a rollover into next year. To do the pond project, yes.
Thanks. That's all I wanted to know, how you were gonna handle that, because we do cash on that.
Yeah, and unless for whatever reason, this year ends and, you can label it a capital transfer, however we want to label it. It just be.
It's
cash flow.
irrelevant, it's just one pocket to the other.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that we had that money earmarked already for the
Yes,
pond, so that you won't need as much to go move forward with the project.
I believe we labeled it a 400,000 transfer in or rollover.
Okay.
So it'll account as a rollover for the next budget. Yes. There'll be an ordinance next week. It's not on the committee here. I guess it was Sandy and I just finalized it today, but apparently we need an ordinance establishing what our fiscal year is. outside of state statute. No, it's state statute aligns it with the election cycle if you don't have an ordinance establishing one. So very simply, we're just gonna write a very quick ordinance. It'll just be documented exactly what we're doing now. So, can we put that in the consent agenda, or would you guys rather have it?
It is the shortest ordinance you will
Yeah,
ever
it'll be-
read.
I'm good with the consent agenda.
It'll just be a, what is ours, June?
May
Well,
1st.
that's, you're talking about May first, right?
May 1st,
Yeah.
yeah. It'll just mirror what we're.
You can
actually
adopt
doing.
whatever you
Yeah,
want.
it's just, it's
We have
boring.
that May 1st, but the new bills will start in May 1st.
Yeah, like they always have.
The new fiscal year.
Yeah.
That's all. But Sandy caught it in an article that came out. Talked about a while back and it slipped our mind. Moving on, ordinance enforcement bill,
Nothing, just hope the snow holds off. Which is, it's only March.
Parks and John,
You meeting with Nate and Jason on Friday. We'll have some updates on.
Is Jason the contact from Fairgrounds?
Yes, the one gentleman that was there moved on somewhere else.
Yeah.
But we were supposed to meet last week, but he was feeling a little under the weather, so we moved to meet. So I have-
Chris,
I have nothing.
Chris,
Nothing but what Matt told us.
Matt. All right. Utilities,
I guess we received recently some preliminary numbers on some of the filter costs, so to do the project, I don't know all the details, I've just kind of read over the packet here that Matt had sent us.
Yeah, basically, I gave Brett the three options. I think my recommendation would probably be if you, short term is just to do, you want to call it a concrete cap around the bottom of the tank and with some water stopping stuff in there to just kind of, if there is some minor rusting and leakage at the bottom of that bottom plate of the under drain, it will seal that up for the time being, and then, it'll give the village, a little longer time here to kind of plan for maybe, more long-term replacement, and stuff of the filter. Because I think, trying to remember, when was the media replaced?
I believe we did that in 15, 16 maybe?
Yeah, so
Somewhere there.
So, usually that media, you hope to get about 15 years out of it. So if we did this, it'd be nice to at least get through the next media cycle and maybe because a lot of times media and the valves and actuators kind of get replaced about the same time. Usually, those things opening and closing, they start leaking, and you just need to kind of replace those items on the filter. And then at that time, you can kind of reevaluate where you're at with it and see whether filter's still in okay shape and can go on, you try to get another 15 years out of it, because if you put the effort into doing the nozzles and media and valves, you'd like to get the 15 years worth of life out of it. You don't want to replace those and then turn around and replace the filter a few years later, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, go ahead. I was just saying, just so everybody, I'm not sure if anybody has it, just so everybody understands, the refer to it as engineer's estimate, basically preliminary cost. What he's referring to is $37,000. The next option, just so you know, was $564,000. So whichever way you want to go.
And these are just preliminary numbers, not.
Yes.
Can I get a coin?
The problem with options 2 and 3 are basically we've got to remove a portion of the roof because we got to get a crane in there. We got to take the existing filter out for both options. The one option is cutting off the under drain portion of the tank, getting a new one and welding it on and repainting it and keeping the rest of the filter. The other one is just, basically taking this one out.
I can't speak for the rest of the board at the moment, but like when you're doing the estimates and you see that one is like way obscurely, you probably just stop working.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a 970,000.
Yeah, like that one, for example, you probably don't need it.
All right, well, hold on.
I just think that, I think this will work temporarily, at least get us through the cycle of your investment on the media that was just done and everything, and then, we're gonna evaluate, see how it works. If it works longer, filter might even go more than 10 or 15 years. We've got filters that are older than this that are in not even indoor conditions, outdoor conditions, because they're used enough, and stuff that it's not a freezing issue if they're outdoors, and they're still running fine, but
And the leak seems to have plugged itself still, or is it back again?
No,
I haven't
it's,
been in there
it's,
in
it's
past
still
few days, so-
weeping a
Okay.
little bit, but I mean, yes, it's never gonna get better.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
My fear is that if we don't do something soon to it, that it's going to,
Yeah.
it's gonna become a much bigger issue than the trickle that it is
It'll
now.
become a $500,000 issue.
Yeah, well, or $1 million, depending on which option we go, so. I mean, those are the two options, so,
See your water bill after that one.
yeah.
Is that something that needs more work still, or is that gonna be presented next week, or what's?
Dumb question, can you reverse blow them, Brett? Pull them off, blow them out the other way?
No. I don't know if we're ready for that quite yet, but.
it's really, the board's discretion. It's not gonna take long to make the repair. Basically, what we're gonna do is, we're just gonna basically form up a wall that's just gonna encompass. The filter sits on a kind of a, if you wanna call it a foundation or housekeeping pad, so it's above the floor. So basically, this wall is gonna be outside of it, and it's gonna tie into the bottom of the tank. So it's gonna encompass that bottom base plate of the under drain. And then what we're gonna do is we'll dowel into the floor and the foundation just for support for the wall, and then we'll put some water stops along the tank wall and along the floor there, so it should prevent any leakage there.
You just want it on the agenda?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea to put the agenda for the obvious, the cost-effective fix for now, at least a decision on that, so.
And put it under them for discussion if possible.
You have to bid that.
I think it's, what's the level now, 25?
25.
We're
37.
37, well, that's, is
That's not
that?
for service.
Well, that's contingency and that's.
Yeah,
You can waive competitive bidding though by a 2/3 vote.
yeah, our construction costs are around 31. I mean, if you're okay with it, basically what we do is work up, the details for the wall, and then, if you had 2 or 3 contractors that can do the concrete work, and stuff there, we could send them, here's the detail, provide the village with a proposal, and you still have competitive bids, it just wouldn't be through
Doesn't
the
go through the
bid,
bidding process.
yeah, the advertisement bidding process.
What do you
How
guys
you
want?
wanna do it?
Yeah, I have no issue with that, if nobody else does.
Just waiving competitive bidding or doing it,
Well,
so breaking it down like
Once he
that?
gets once we get the quotes, then we can.
Okay, so you want more quotes?
Well, more than one would be great, right?
Oh, yeah,
Say
yeah, we
We got
can
none right
get.
now. This is just an engineering.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is just-
No, he's saying when we get to that point.
Well, yeah, I guess the question is, I think I understand Chris right, do we want to go through the formal bid advertisement, bid opening
No.
type thing?
Get
Or
3
do we
quotes,
want to
we'll
just?
waive competitive bidding and then approve that.
Yeah, so we go,
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
I'll get with Brett on contractors I feel are qualified. If he's in agreement with who we send them to, we'll send to those and get a proposal from.
Then
each
should
one.
I wait to put this on the agenda until a time in which we have 3 quotes? Because there's nothing to.
Can we put it on, and then if we get the quotes and then we're ready?
Yeah.
I mean,
Or just discussion if needed.
or discussion, yeah, I mean, I'd rather
Yeah.
leave it on and then move it than not be ready when we need to be.
Okay,
Anything else?
I believe that concludes me at the moment, yeah.
All good, thank you.
Unfinished business, nothing on Verizon. We do have something on LR, actually. We met with them today. I finally had enough of emailing back and forth because I didn't understand anything I was reading. So we requested them meet. They pointed out, and identified their equipment, what is theirs, what is ours, what they need, what they don't. And as they proposed a plan that would be mutually beneficial for the village and for them. So at this point, They are gonna draft something up for the village to review, and at that point, we'll present it. There will be no cost increase to the village. It doesn't, there'll be no increase in fees for us. It would be an improvement in service of connecting our buildings and reliability and speed. And if I understood it right, we would have a redundancy backup that is currently in place that we would leave and utilize. Did I gather all that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. More to follow on that. Anything else from the board? Going on to the public?
Nothing.
Need a
Not alone today,
microphone.
Glenda.
Don't have a mic, you said public.
You actually, because my microphone system isn't, because my microphone system
I'm
isn't
kinda
working,
new.
you don't
Oh, it's
have to
not
use
working?
it. You don't have to use it.
I'm
I
pretty
just,
loud anyway, we should be okay.
there you go. Just
So,
hold
hey,
up.
We got the park, we got football, we got baseball, we got Bill Montisi, we got all kinds of stuff going on. How hard would it be to put a speed bump in between 72 and the first driveway on 3 streets?
On
You know what?
72?
I'll tell you what, I have watched for the last 6 months. You guys have Tuesday meeting, first Tuesday of every month, right?
3 Tuesdays on.
Yeah, okay, whatever. One black Ford goes by my house at 45 miles an hour and 55 feet. I have 14 grandkids. And I'm gonna tell you something, if somebody runs over one of my grandkids because they made a mistake as a child, and you're a 70-year-old man and you run them over, I'm going to prison.
Are you talking about on Junction Road?
I'm talking about right here on Elm Street.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. Nobody else, I've waited to figure out who it was, because it's been going on for a few months. I let them stick, you can argue all you want. I let you put your flags in my yard to advertise for your job and all that stuff, because you know what, I kinda liked you, Bill,
I know.
until I figured out who was the idiot doing 45 miles an hour in 200 feet. You can argue all you want.
Sir.
I have you on camera.
Sir.
I go another way.
Calm down.
Believe me, I wouldn't do
I
that.
understand the frustration that we get the complaints
Okay,
from all
No,
people. in the
I
community.
watched it all. Nobody else acts like that. Nobody tries like that. Nobody. Not one of you on this board does that. Not one. My camera reaches the next street and this street. Nobody does that.
I will give you the
One
same response.
individual.
I'll give you the same response I would give any other resident in this community. If it's an ordinance or a law that's being violated, you know you have to call the sheriff.
The point is, I like the guy. I let him put shit in my yard until I figured out he was the one doing 0 to 70 from here to there
No.
and parking in a handicap spot in front of the village hall to boot.
So what? Park the what? Park where?
I'm sorry.
I
What's
understand the
wrong?
frustration.
What's wrong?
I don't bitch about much. Ask Brett. I've known Brett a long time. I don't bitch about hardly anything,
I know.
but I do have a lot of grandkids and I have a lot of kids.
What is wrong? with-
Well, kids they're all grown now, but I have 14 grandchildren.
No.
I just had 7 of them in my house for 5 days.
Right, but I understand the frustration, but you're presenting a personal issue on the village board level, which it's not something that we
Someone
can
on the
address.
board though?
It's not
So
something that
that's
we
not
can
the board's
address.
problem, that someone on the board is acting
Where am I parked?
out of pocket.
When they're not performing their duties in official capacity, that's correct. Driving to and from a board meeting is not performing his duties in an official capacity of the village. We cannot, there's nothing we can do about it. Am I wrong?
I have no
It's
idea.
sad, but.
I understand that, but I mean, can we at least have a conversation about it? Maybe slow
Where am I
down.
parked that's wrong? I don't understand. Where am I parked? There's a violation.
I'm not saying you're parked and see Joe Biden, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that you're doing 45 miles an hour from 72 to Village Hall.
Would it help as
There's more than
as
one
this weather is
vehicle.
warming up, the
I
village can put out reminders to maybe remind people, generally,
Just-
everybody to slow down, like
Yeah.
there are kids moving
That's
out.
all I'm
around
asking.
again.
Maybe
I'm happy.
just, hey, slow down. I get it. You got an important meeting over here at the village, Bill. I've supported you for years.
I appreciate
You
that.
know I
And
have.
I would support you.
Okay, but what you're doing is wrong. And then when I called you out on the sidewalk, you basically walked in the
I
building.
would never do that. Hey,
You said, hey, whatever,
No,
and you
no,
ignored
I would
everything I
never
said,
tell you
and you
that.
walked in the building exactly
Even
what
with
you did.
people that I agree with, I would. No.
Okay, you didn't say
I
those
wouldn't do
words
that.
because that's my words. You ignored me and I tried to talk to you out front between me and you, and you walked away from me.
I don't even.
Don't
know.
say you didn't, I have it on camera.
I don't even know, if I heard anything was the voice, I didn't know who it was. Because I would have addressed you. And, you know,
right, we-
that's all I can tell you, you know.
As weather breaks, we can put out on the Facebook page and the village sign, you know, slow down. We can do all those nice
You
campaigns.
know what, everybody here does a great job. I'm not
We appreciate
bashing
that.
certain people. I'm just saying that I've watched for 6 months, the one individual that goes by so fast that my camera literally catches headlights.
I understand. We don't have a police department. We cannot enforce those
I
things.
understand that.
There's an
So maybe we
specific
need someone
organization to call.
besides Bill that can be a police officer in the village. I don't know.
It's a issue for voting. I think.
I mean, just like not being able to drive golf carts. I mean, it's stupid. We can't monitor it, we can't police it.
Right.
So we don't. Creston doesn't have police, but they do it.
They don't have a state highway in the middle of their town either, which is part of.
38's not a state
They
highway.
don't have massive residential splitting both sides. They're pretty one-sided.
Whatever, I'm just saying.
We understand the
It's just-
concern.
You know what, I've never ever came over here and said anything negative about anything, I've never complained about anything, but that's gotta stop, I mean. I have a lot of little kids, probably 7 under 10, who ride skateboards down the sidewalk or the street and when you go by that fast, there's no way you're stopping. No, there's no way. I'm surprised you didn't come around the corner on 2 wheels.
I would say that you're exaggerating, and I certainly wouldn't do that, sir. I would not do that.
I can record it. I have the tapes. Just like you do. With your,
Don't-
Bill, if I went by your house that fast,
I
you would be
try-
the first
I would
one
try- you're
to
darn
chase
right.
me down
That's right.
and tell me to slow
That's
down.
right.
I know you would.
Yeah.
So why is it
Now,
your
how do I
turn?
erase
No one
this
but you.
image? How do I erase this image, like in court? Don't think of a black horse, tell the jury.
Except I have you on video.
How many vehicles are like this and doing stuff like this? And I normally don't even come down this way.
You know what? My wife's car got stolen 4 weeks ago. I put cameras all around my house. So you're on tape. So you can say what you want. But if they all sat and watched it, nobody was doing that. All of a sudden, here comes Bill Motisi hot for a meeting, and you are smoking the tires up here to get in here. You can say what you want,
I wouldn't. do
but if
that.
I went by your house that fast,
I wouldn't do
there's a
that.
speed bump 50 feet from your house.
You're maligning me. You know, not true. And
I'm not.
that's what I said.
All right.
And, you know.
That's not why I'm here. I'm just saying, as a group, maybe we could all slow down a little bit. I got little kids that run out in front of my house, and if you had little kids in front of your house and someone was driving like a fool, you'd wanna say something.
Absolutely.
And that's really what it boils down to. And I watched it for 4 or 5 months to figure out who it was, because I know a lot of you nonchalantly through Brett basically, but, I know that it's not you guys. Until I figured out who it was, I didn't want to come over here and raise hell.
I'm
But-
one of the board members, been coming here for over 10 years.
I know.
You know what? I've been guilty of coming in a little, I will make a conscious effort of improving myself.
But there's like 6 kids across the street from my house. There was 7 that just left mine that were there for a week from Arizona and freaking here in Alabama. I mean, I just don't like seeing that. I don't do it. I don't drive by your house that fast, or your house, or anybody else's. I mean, it's not fair. Just because you're on the board, you can do that?
No.
No.
That
Absolutely
has
not.
nothing to do with
Let me check with Glenda, see if she has
No, I wouldn't do that.
another member of the public.
I'm just saying, come on. All I'm asking for is a break here. Just please slow down. That's all I'm asking you, Bill. Slow down. Because I know it was you. Cause I waited 6 months to call you out, because I wasn't
But
sure
I don't
who it
even
was.
come this way
So-
like this. I even go, I go on the other way.
Look, I'm gonna go home, and I gotta go to work in the morning, so y'all have a great night,
Thank
but
you.
I'm asking you, please, slow down. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good night. Have a good day.
Glenda, anything from you?
No, there's nothing from me.
Hearing nothing else from the public.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Chris made a motion to adjourn, John seconded at 7:30. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?